Well, for more analysis, I'm joined by political analyst Mohamad Elmasry, who joins us from Doha. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World, Mohamad. So, in his speech, Mohamad Musi in Hosni Mubarak, I apologize, he said, "This near nation is where I lived. I fought for it and defended its soil sovereignty and interest. On its soil, I will die. History will judge me like it did others." But looking today and talking to analysts, it looks like he leaves a mixed legacy behind. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know how mixed it is. I think the political science literature and the political science analyses are pretty clear, as some of the other guests have been noting. Mubarak was a dictator. His rule was characterized by a very high level of authoritarianism, a high degree of political repression. There were many thousands of political prisoners. Torture was rampant in Egyptian jails. He had a consistently poor human rights record, and that's putting it lightly, quite frankly. He orchestrated sham elections and referenda, and ultimately he was ousted in a popular uprising in 2011. I think this idea that it's a mixed legacy is emerging from the reality that Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt's current president, is even more authoritarian than Mubarak was. So, I think we have to, properly contextualize that. That is not, a compliment to Mubarak, but it's a statement of fact that Sisi is more repressive, more authoritarian than Mubarak ever was. And that's why you have some Egyptians, even before Mubarak's death, over these last few years, sort of openly longing for the days of Mubarak, not in a way that compliments or praises Mubarak. I think these are Egyptians who recognize that Mubarak was a dictator. He was repressive. He was corrupt. But they also recognize that the Sisi period is significantly worse. As I always tell my students, you have to think about liberalism and authoritarianism as being on a sort of continuum, right? There are points, there are extreme points. So Mubarak was quite authoritarian, but he was not absolutely authoritarian. Sisi is more authoritarian.
So, Mohammed, on the one hand, as you mentioned, in his entire period in office, he kept the country under emergency law. But on the other hand, many are saying he was kind of a peace mediator and playing the role of the mediator when it came to conflicts in the region, especially with Israel and Palestine. Would you agree with that?
I think I agree with that. I mean, he was someone that was respected in the political circle, in the Arab political circle. Now you have to take that with a grain of salt, because the Arab political environment itself, particularly during the Mubarak period before the Arab Spring, was characterized by a high degree of authoritarianism. So yeah, there were other leaders in the region who viewed him as a leader, particularly because Egypt is the largest Arab country, and it's seen as perhaps the most important, or certainly one of the most important politically and strategically. So, and then obviously because of the peace agreement with Israel and his relationship with the United States, which was always very strong. But as a political analyst, I don't say that as a compliment to Mubarak's peacemaking abilities or his diplomacy or anything else. It's just a commentary on the fact that he was the leader of arguably the most important country in a conflict-ridden authoritarian region.
Well, that's all the time we have, but thank you very much for that, Mohamad Elmasry.